Why did they have to come up with bullshit rules, Bill? Because all these guys want to play together and not compete. How many great players do you need on one team? See, this is what bothers me in my generation. They made up these rules, like these young people. Well, if I had $1 for every time I heard the second apron, why did Adam Silver have to put the second apron in? Because LeBron got all his guys together. KD wanted to go play with the Warriors. What? Wait, y'all don't want to win the championship and just compete against each other? Don't get mad at Adam Silver because y'all all want to play together and dominate the league because y'all don't want to compete. I hate when I hear, man, the second apron's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? If y'all stop all wanting to play together, we wouldn't have to make up bogus-ass rules to stop y'all from playing together. As much as I love LeBron, when he started doing this thing with Bosh and Wade, that was the first wave. Okay. Right. The second wave was KD going to the Warriors. Adam Silver had to do something. We can't let one team hoard all the good players. I mean, they had Clay, Steph, and Draymond. They didn't need KD.
Well, that's true. But that was a unique situation. To me, it's like in the mid-80s.
What do you mean unique situation?
Well, because the cap spiked. That was the year like Joakim Noah and Alan Crabb, all those dudes.
They went there to dominate the league. The reason LeBron went to Miami so he can get him and Wade and Bosh together. If all these guys didn't want to play together, Bill, Adam Silver wouldn't have to come up with this second apron thing. That's the only reason. Like my sons, they were paying KD, Bill, and Booker each $60 million. How many good players do you need? You think I don't want to play? You don't think in my heyday I want to play with KD and Bradley Beal? Like they're like, we can't pay everybody. They had to come up. This is a bogus rule. I agree with you. But if all these guys don't want to play together, Adam Silver wouldn't have to make up rules. No, it'd be more like if Michael Jordan went to the Celtics to play with if Michael Jordan, who was the best player in the league 3 or 4 years before he won the championship, if he had went to Boston or went to LA, that's what it would be like.
Michael Jordan never ran. He never looked for shortcuts. He didn't leave Chicago to hunt for allies in bigger markets. He didn't join a team already built to win. Jordan chose the hardest path, to stay with the franchise that drafted him, to build brick by brick, to endure the pain of repeated losses to the Detroit Pistons, to suffer through years of physical and mental punishment in the playoffs, and then to rise, to sharpen, and ultimately to dominate the entire NBA. 6 trips to the finals, 6 victories, no defeats, no blemishes. That is what made Jordan the embodiment of pure competition, a warrior who never avoided the challenge, who never took the easy way out, who only knew how to conquer. And that is why, when people around the world debate the GOAT, millions still say his name in unison, Jordan. Meanwhile, in today's era, Charles Barkley, one of the NBA's most outspoken and fearless voices, couldn't hold back his frustration. On the Bill Simmons podcast, he said bluntly, "As much as I love LeBron, when he started doing this thing with Bosh and Wade, that was the first wave. KD going to the Warriors was the second." To Barkley, LeBron was the one who opened the door to a new culture, a culture he called super team culture. Super team culture is not competition, it's the avoidance of competition. It is the easy path for stars who choose to join forces rather than battle against each other. Barkley pointed out, if LeBron hadn't pulled Bosh and Wade to Miami, if Durant hadn't gone to Golden State, Adam Silver would never have needed to create rules like the second apron to stop stars from clustering together, and Barkley was merciless. Back in my generation, we wanted to compete. These guys just want to play together. Don't get mad at Adam Silver. Y'all ruined the league because you didn't want to compete. Now, imagine if Michael Jordan had done what LeBron did. Imagine him leaving Chicago to wear the purple and gold of the Lakers alongside Magic Johnson. Or jumping to Boston to stand next to Larry Bird. Without question, Jordan would have collected more rings, but he didn't. He chose to face the challenge, not run from it. That is the defining difference. Jordan, the man who proved greatness by walking the hardest path, And LeBron, the man Barkley accuses of starting an era where stars run from the grind to stack championships, one is remembered as untouchable. The other, despite undeniable greatness, carries a stain on his legacy. And that is the question Barkley forces us all to confront. Who is truly the GOAT, the man who built a dynasty with sweat and blood, or the man who ran to collect rings? Jordan, the symbol of pure competition. Charles Barkley said it plainly. His generation wanted to compete against each other, while LeBron's generation wanted to team up with each other. And if you look back at Michael Jordan's career, Barkley was absolutely right. Jordan entered the NBA in 1984, stepping into a league dominated by already built dynasties. Bird's Celtics, Magic's Lakers, Isaiah's Pistons. He didn't run. He didn't look for a shortcut or try to join a team already poised to win. Jordan accepted the brutal reality. If you wanted to be the best, you had to beat the best. For years, Jordan was punished physically and mentally by the Detroit Pistons. They created the infamous Jordan rules, a defensive system designed solely to break him. He was battered, knocked down, and repeatedly sent home from the playoffs. Any other star might have chosen another path, leave the team, find allies, or accept never winning a title. But not Jordan. He turned failure into fuel. He trained relentlessly, sculpting his body into something the league had never seen: a perfect blend of strength, endurance, and skill. Each fall against the Pistons only made him more dangerous. And in 1991, Jordan and the Bulls finally swept the Pistons aside, launching a dynasty of 6 championships in 8 years. The key here isn't just that Jordan won, it's that he won the right way. No running, no shortcuts, no super team alliances. He stayed, built the Bulls into a dynasty, turned pain into power, and transformed defeat into legend. That's why Charles Barkley bristles when he sees LeBron do the opposite. Barkley, who faced Jordan directly, knows better than anyone. Jordan's legacy isn't only about 6 rings, it's about how he won them by walking the hardest path, the harshest path, and turning it into the most glorious. Jordan isn't the GOAT simply because of what he achieved. He's the GOAT because he never ran to achieve it. LeBron and the birth of superteam culture. When Charles Barkley called out the modern NBA, he didn't hesitate to name the culprit. As much as I love LeBron, when he started doing this thing with Bosh and Wade, that was the first wave. KD going to the Warriors was the second. In Barkley's eyes, LeBron James was the one who opened Pandora's box. Before 2010, the NBA had seen trades, it had seen teams draft dynasties, it had seen stars pair up, but never before had the league's most powerful player deliberately left his home franchise to form a super team by choice. The decision wasn't just a television special, it was the birth of the super team era. By joining Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami, LeBron set a precedent. If you can't beat the best, join forces with other superstars and build an unstoppable juggernaut. Yes, he won 2 championships there. But Barkley's frustration isn't about the rings themselves, it's about what those rings represent. They weren't forged through the grind of staying in Cleveland, building from within, and overcoming failure the way Jordan did in Chicago. They were acquired by stacking the deck, and once LeBron took that step, the floodgates opened. Kevin Durant followed the blueprint by leaving Oklahoma City to join a 73-win Golden State Warriors team that had already proven it could win a championship without him. To Barkley, that was wave 2, the logical extension of the path LeBron paved. The result? The NBA had to create artificial rules, like the second apron, to prevent teams from hoarding too much talent. Competitive balance had been broken. Fans grew frustrated. The thrill of watching stars clash against each other turned into the monotony of watching them cluster together. This is why Barkley's criticism hits so hard. Because deep down, everyone knows he's right. LeBron changed the culture, not by competing against the giants, but by assembling them. Not by proving he could conquer the mountain, but by reshaping the mountain so he could stand on top of it. That is the birth of super team culture. And in Barkley's words, it's the very thing that ruined the spirit of competition that defined his generation and defined Michael Jordan. The consequences of the super team era. When LeBron James left Cleveland for Miami in 2010, he didn't just change his own career, he changed the league forever. That single decision unleashed a ripple effect that Charles Barkley and many fans still argue has damaged the NBA's soul. The first consequence was competitive imbalance. Instead of stars battling against each other, they began clustering together. Miami's Big Three wasn't just powerful, it was overwhelming. Within 2 years, The super team model spread like wildfire. Kevin Durant took it to an even higher level in 2016 when he joined a Golden State Warriors team that had already won 73 games without him. At that point, fans stopped asking, "Who will win?" and started asking, "Who can possibly beat them?" The second consequence was rule changes. Adam Silver and the NBA were forced to introduce harsher financial regulations, the infamous second apron. Why? Because without restrictions, teams with deep pockets could simply hoard superstar after superstar, leaving the rest of the league hopeless. As Barkley said, "Don't get mad at Adam Silver. Y'all ruined the league because you didn't want to compete." The NBA had to artificially restore balance because players no longer respected it. The third consequence was fan disillusionment. Barkley was right again. Fans don't want to watch a foregone conclusion. They don't want to see LeBron, Wade, and Bosh cruise past outmatched teams. They didn't want to see Durant join a Warriors dynasty that didn't need him. Viewership dipped during those eras because predictability kills drama, and drama is the lifeblood of sports. And finally, the fourth consequence was the erosion of legacy. LeBron's Miami rings and Durant's Golden State rings will always be counted in the record books. But they will never carry the same cultural weight as Jordan's 6 in Chicago or Kobe's 5 in Los Angeles. Why? Because context matters. Championships are remembered not only for what you won, but for how you won them. The super team era proved that rings are not all equal. Some are heavy with glory, like Jordan's earned by staying, building, and conquering. Others are lighter, diminished by the fact that the deck was stacked before the first game was played. This is the true consequence of the super team culture LeBron began. Yes, it delivered rings, but it also delivered doubt. Doubt about competitive integrity, doubt about legacies, doubt about the very meaning of greatness. Jordan versus the super team mentality. Charles Barkley's frustration makes sense because he lived through an era defined by something entirely different: true competition. And no player embodied that competitive spirit more than Michael Jordan. Jordan came into a league filled with giants: Bird's Celtics, Magic's Lakers, Isaiah's Pistons. He didn't run from them. He didn't call Bird or Magic to see if they wanted to link up. He stayed in Chicago, endured brutal playoff losses, and fought his way to the top. The Pistons literally designed the Jordan rules to punish him, hitting him, knocking him down, wearing him out. And instead of leaving for an easier path, Jordan hit the weight room, built himself stronger, and came back to conquer. That's the difference. Jordan's 6 championships weren't just numbers. They were the product of resilience, of refusing to fold, of refusing to chase an easy way out. His dynasty wasn't imported, it was built. Now compare that to the super team mentality. LeBron left Cleveland to form the Big Three in Miami. Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City to join a 73-win Warriors team that didn't even need him. Today's stars call each other in the off-season, plotting how to join forces instead of how to beat each other. Jordan's mentality was the opposite. I want to beat you, not join you. That's why his legacy feels untouchable, because he proved that greatness comes from confronting obstacles, not avoiding them. And here's the truth. Had Jordan chosen the super team route, he could have easily surpassed 6 rings. Imagine Jordan joining Magic's Lakers or Bird's Celtics in the late 80 seconds. It would have been unstoppable, but he didn't. He refused to compromise the purity of competition. That's why Barkley's words hit so hard. Because Jordan showed the blueprint of greatness, the grind, the pain, the triumph. LeBron, by contrast, pioneered a shortcut that diluted the very meaning of competition. One path creates legacy. The other creates questions. Jordan didn't just win more, he won the right way. And that is why, even in an era of inflated stats and super teams, his name still towers above the rest, the stain on LeBron's legacy. Legacy isn't just about what you win, it's about how you're remembered. And this is where LeBron James, despite all of his greatness, faces a problem he cannot erase: the shadow of the super team era that he helped create. Yes, LeBron has 4 championships. But how many of them carry the weight of myth? In Miami, his 2 rings will always be tied to the decision to leave Cleveland and join forces with Wade and Bosh. They count, but fans know the deck was stacked. In Cleveland, his 2016 comeback against the Warriors is legendary. It is his crown jewel. But it also stands as the one exception, not the rule. In Los Angeles, the 2020 Bubble Championship is legitimate. But in the minds of many, it still carries an asterisk due to the unusual circumstances of the pandemic season. They are all rings, but they are not remembered equally. That's what Kendrick Perkins meant when he said, "No one remembers all-star games. All NBA, all defense. People remember champions. Championships are the ultimate memory. But even among champions, there is a hierarchy of respect. Some titles are revered, others are debated, and some are outright questioned. LeBron's problem is that too many of his titles fall into the second and third categories. They are debated, they are questioned, they are not untouchable. And that keeps his legacy from reaching the mythic status of Michael Jordan's. Jordan's 6 rings have new qualifiers, new stacked deck, new asterisks, new questions, just perfection. 6 appearances, 6 wins, 6 finals MVPs. His legacy is carved in stone, flawless, immune to revision. LeBron's, by contrast, carries caveats. Yes, but he had to join Wade and Bosh. Yes, but the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. Yes, but the bubble was different. Those caveats are the stains. They don't erase his greatness, but they prevent him from being remembered as the greatest. And that is why Barkley's critique cuts so deep. Because legacies aren't just about numbers or rings. They're about the stories those rings tell. Jordan's story is one of defiance and domination. LeBron's is one of greatness, shadowed by compromise. One story will echo forever. The other will always come with a question mark. Barkley's verdict. How LeBron and KD ruined the NBA. Charles Barkley didn't mince words. On the Bill Simmons podcast, he tore into the super team era with a blunt accusation. Don't get mad at Adam Silver. Y'all ruined the league because you didn't want to compete. In Barkley's view, LeBron James and Kevin Durant are the 2 roadrunners of modern basketball stars who ran away from the grind. LeBron set the precedent by leaving Cleveland to join Wade and Bosh in Miami. Durant followed the trail when he abandoned Oklahoma City for a 73-win Golden State Warriors team that didn't even need him. For Barkley, this wasn't just a decision. It was a betrayal of the very spirit of the game. His generation lived to compete against one another. They didn't want to stack the deck. They wanted to conquer it. Barkley pointed out that in his era, nobody would have imagined Michael Jordan leaving Chicago to join Magic's Lakers or Bird's Celtics. That would have been unthinkable, because greatness was measured by beating the giants, not by joining them. The consequences, as Barkley highlighted, were enormous. The NBA had to introduce the second apron rule just to prevent superstars from hoarding themselves on the same roster. Fans, meanwhile, grew weary of predictable outcomes. Ratings dipped because the thrill of competition was gone. What replaced it was inevitability. And Barkley wasn't shy about calling it what it was. These dudes ruined the NBA. They just wanted to dominate the league by teaming up instead of competing. And then they tried to rebrand it as player empowerment. That phrase, ruined the NBA, is harsh, but it resonates because fans felt it. They saw LeBron's Miami teams roll through weaker opponents. They saw Durant's Warriors obliterate the league with ease. The suspense was gone, and with it, part of the NBA's magic. Barkley's verdict is clear. LeBron and Durant, in chasing easier paths to rings, damaged the essence of competition that defined legends like Jordan. They may have added to their resumes, but they subtracted from their legacies. Because in the end, you can't call it empowerment when it looks like avoidance. And you can't call it greatness when it feels like a shortcut. The final contrast. Why Jordan remains untouchable. At the end of the day, Charles Barkley's critique leaves us with a question that answers itself. Who do you respect more, the man who built his dynasty, or the men who ran to join one? Michael Jordan faced the giants of his era, Bird, Magic, Isaiah, and never asked to join them. He absorbed the punishment of the Jordan rules, suffered the heartbreak of repeated playoff exits, and responded not by leaving but by transforming. He built his body, sharpened his mind, and turned the Chicago Bulls into a dynasty that dominated the 1,990 seconds. 6 finals, 6 wins, 6 finals MVPs, perfection, no asterisks, no caveats. LeBron James, for all his greatness, carries the burden of choices that diluted his legacy. His Miami rings came with super team disclaimers. His bubble title remains debated. His Cleveland triumph in 2016 was historic, but it stands as the lone chapter without question marks. And Kevin Durant, following LeBron's path, added rings in Golden State that will never be celebrated the way Jordan's are. That is why Barkley's words strike so hard. Because Jordan's greatness is self-evident, carved in stone by competition. LeBron's, by contrast, is constantly defended, explained, rationalized. One man's career is a monument, the other's is an argument. Jordan didn't just win more, he won differently. He won without shortcuts. He won without stacking the deck. He won by facing the mountain and conquering it, not by moving to another peak that was already built. And that is why, decades later, Jordan's name still reigns supreme, because his legacy doesn't need defending. It doesn't need excuses. It doesn't need context. LeBron may be one of the greatest. Durant may be one of the most skilled. But Jordan? Jordan is untouchable. He is not just the GOAT. He is the measure by which all others fail.